Hola amigos, bienvenidos a la lección. Me llamo Jose. My name is Joseph. Buenos días. I'm very excited to be doing this first video with you in which we will study our first verb. Verbs are really important in Spanish. They're important in any language, but especially in Spanish due to their complexity. They're a whole lot more involved than they are in English, at least. And in Spanish, in order to make sentences, we need to use verbs. We need them to make statements, we need them to ask questions, to answer questions also, and we need them to give commands. And when I say commands, I'm not necessarily referring to strong authoritative commands, but simple commands such as come here, turn left here, or look at this. But all of these types of sentences require that we know how to use some verbs. We want to establish accuracy in our usage of the language in addition to familiarity and confidence. Taking a first things first approach to our study of verbs, we will first study the verb to be, which is the most important verb in any language. It's no coincidence that most Spanish courses will begin by studying to be. In Spanish, it's so important that there are two verbs which represent to be. You may have learned them already back in high school or college. One of them is ser. Let me write them here. Ser, and the other one is estar. And we are going to focus right now on only estar. And we will look at ser later on, another time. What is estar? Estar is to be. To be, right? And this form of the verb that I've written up here is called the infinitive. I don't want to overload you with grammatical terms, but I've got to call it something. In English, the infinitive is to be. We use the infinitive, here it is, we use the infinitive to be quite often in English, but not nearly as often as we say its conjugations. And in English, those are simply am, are, and is. In the same way, we don't use estar in Spanish as often as we'll use its conjugations. We'll get to those in just a second. There is a different conjugation for each of the subject pronouns. What are those subject pronouns? Let's write them out. Okay. All right, there we go. Alright, everything's bold. Okay. Yo and tú. So I and you. And then here, there's él and ella. He and she. Él y ella. Very good. So those were all singular. Those are all one person. I am one person, you are one person, he and she, they are each one person. So it's singular. When you add another person to this one person, it becomes plural. Alright, so I and another person, let's say Enrique, so Enrique and I, that becomes we, which in Spanish is nosotros. Alright, 3 syllables to say we. Alright, and then there's you. Let's say you and another person, let's say Enrique once again, that will be ustedes, which will be you all, or here as we say in Texas, y'all. Alright? And then he, let's say Carlos and another person, let's say Enrique. So Carlos and Enrique will be ellos. And if it's a couple of girls, it'll be ellas. Okay. Alright, very good. If you are already familiar with Spanish, then you may have noticed that there are a couple of subject pronouns that are missing from this list. For example, we don't have usted. Usted. Usted also means you, but it's formal. It is how you would speak to someone with whom you are not on a first name basis. Señor so-and-so, Señora so-and-so. Or someone to whom you want to show respect. Alright, you would use usted. So usted is you, but also tú is you, and that's the informal you. Okay? Another one that's not on the list is vosotros. Vosotros also means you all, much in the same way that ustedes means you all. So usted is you, and plural it would be ustedes. But the thing about vosotros is that it's just not used very often here in North America. You may hear it in Spain, you may hear it in certain parts of South America, but for the most part, we're not going to hear it around here. Which isn't to say that it's not worthy of studying. It just means that, well, this is already very complex, all these subject pronouns and all the conjugations that correspond to them. So we're just keeping it simple for now, leaving it out. Okay? So we will use usted a little bit, but we're going to leave vosotros completely out of the picture for the time being. Okay, as for the conjugations of the verbs, let's go ahead and get started with that. Yo estoy. All right, I am. That's how you say I am. You are. Estás. You are. Like, for example, you are here. Tú estás aquí. Please repeat that. Tú estás aquí. Go ahead. Okay, good. All right. He or she is here. Está. So, Carlos está aquí. Carlos no está aquí. Alicia está aquí. Alicia no está aquí. I'm not going to say Carlos and él. I'm going to say one or the other. Alright, so there's that. And then also with nosotros, to say we are is estamos. Estamos. And with ustedes, it's están. Están. Okay, so we are here. Nosotros estamos aquí. You all are here. Ustedes están aquí. When I use ustedes, I'm talking to two people or more. When I use ellos, I'm talking to somebody about two people, two other people or more. Alright, so very good. So these are the conjugations, very important. I'll just leave them up here for now. Alright. Alright, here we go. So let's practice these a little bit. Just which one would you use? Alright, if it's tú, of course, estás. If it is, let's say, Verónica, Verónica está. Good. Alright. And if it's myself, yo estoy. Yes. If it is Verónica y yo estamos. That's right. So here I'm actually saying names. I'm saying Verónica y yo. I'm not saying nosotros, because Verónica y yo, that is nosotros. So I'm not going to say both of those. What if it is Verónica y Carmen están? Very good. And if it's simply usted, está. Alright, very good. Okay, now we know the conjugations and how they work. We will practice them more later, but for now we're just going to move on to the next thing. We should identify where and when we'll be using this verb estar. And like I said earlier, there is another way to say to be in Spanish. So when the words am, are, and is pop into your mind, and you'd like to express them in Spanish, you've got to determine which verb to use, estar or the other one. So let's look at how and when it is used in English in order to know when to use it in Spanish. Okay, so for example, I am here in my office location. That's where I am. You are where you are in your home, on your bed, for example. Okay. There's also how I am feeling, how I am doing, my temporary condition, my status, my feelings. I'm nervous, I'm prepared, I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm excited, All these things describe me, how I'm doing at the moment. Okay? There's also my identity. That's who I am. I am Joseph. All right? This is a computer. That's what it is. It's identity. Okay? There's ethnicity. I am Mexican. There's nationality. I am American. So I am Mexican American. All right, very good. And as far as it goes with things, when you talk about where things are from, this tea is from China. These electronics are probably from somewhere else in Asia. So where is it from? Your origins, you used to be. All right. My occupation, or anyone's occupation. I am a teacher. You are a salesman. You are an office worker, a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, whatever it may be. Occupation. When you talk about relationships, also you use to be. He is my father. She is my friend. She is my girlfriend. I am your teacher. You are my student. Relationships. Everything pertaining to dates and times will be with the verb to be, of course. So it is the 22nd of August. It is 10 o'clock, whatever. Dates and times. Also, talking about people, their character, their characteristics, their personality, you use to be. Then there's material and color of things. The sky is blue, the grass is green. All right, and then talking about possession. Possession has 4 S's in English. It's strange. Okay, so that is mine. Whose is this? They are mine. We used to be. And then there's also the very important combination of it is plus some adjective plus another verb. For example, and these are usually opinions, it is important to learn another language. It is good to learn new things. It is difficult to study the grammar, to understand the grammar. So all those combinations we use to be. Well, as we move forward in our study of to be, we need to realize that ESTAR really only talks about these two right here. These two. I just highlighted them. Let's see. Location and temporary condition. So to talk about where I am and also how I'm doing will be with estar. And the other verb ser will refer to all the other ones. Okay, so we will conveniently just put those off for now and we will study the verb estar.